Education, commerce, and let's see, I can't. The third one I can't. Sorry. Oops.
He was trying to think of the Department of Energy, and now he has been added to the cabinet of President-elect Donald Trump, that Trump says is the highest IQ cabinet ever, as the Secretary for the Department of Energy. That is one-time Republican presidential candidate Perry. So what does this mean that he has been the choice? Let's bring back our panel, Jackie Kucinich, Selena Zito, and Ron Brownstein. Selena, you're making the case that some people will like this because it will show that Trump can give somebody a second look.
Right.
Okay? So you're giving Rick Perry a second look. You say, oh, he's a very popular governor from Texas, and he's known as an intelligent guy. I don't know that that is a widespread impression of Rick Perry. I think that, in fact, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. Nobody has come out and trumpeted any plaudits about him since he's been nominated. So what do you think the play is?
Well, you know, I mean, I've covered Texas politics a lot. You know, he's the longest serving governor from Texas. He is well thought of, not only in Texas, but in the conservative community. You know, I think that Trump is trying to, you know, put deep conservatives, you know, ones that, you know, stick to conservative orthodoxies and sprinkle them into his cabinet. You see Ben Carson, you see Nikki Haley, you see Perry, and those are very important picks to him. You see Jeff Sessions, and, you know, he's promised to put the smartest people in there, but, you know, also a lot of change. Yeah. And I think that that's what Perry brings to it. He's got the conservative part going.
But Donald Trump has also put people in there that want to kind of break the system.
Yeah.
Right? The EPA.
Scott Pruitt.
Yes, thank you.
If they've expressed disdain
Yes.
for an agency, they become the head of that agency at this point.
And the other thing is that the Department of Energy isn't just about fossil fuels. It's about nuclear weapons. Yeah. It's about, you know, manufacturing them, about keeping them in check. So that is the open question about who Rick Perry is going to surround and just the vast amount of science that is there. So that is an open question as to how he will handle that part of the job. Because let's not forget, the current energy secretary he's a nuclear physicist.
Correct. Right. But part of it, Ron, part of it, Jackie just used the word science, good segue for us. Yeah. There is word that there's quest to have all the Energy Department employees who worked on global warming to have their names put on a list. The the department is refusing to comply with that list. Rick Perry has already said, we're going to put jobs and commerce first before regulations that may make some marginal impact on the environment. How do you see this?
Well, look, I think if you look across the board on the domestic side, that President-elect Trump is selecting a very conventionally and even confrontationally conservative cabinet that is filled with people who are going to very aggressively try to undo the Obama legacy across a wide range of issues. I mean, putting Rick Perry at energy kind of, you know, fits, I think, a couple of different themes. One is that you have people who are, you know, are essentially dedicated to moving these agencies very quickly to the right. But also is another point, which is that Donald Trump values executive experience over policy expertise. I mean, you kind of look across this cabinet at the generals, the former governors, the CEOs like Rex Tillerson, as opposed to, you know, as Jackie noted, the nuclear physicists that President Obama put in energy. Democrats I think, kind of orient more toward kind of policy expertise. Republicans in general prefer executive experience, and Donald Trump has really pushed that to kind of a new height.
Selena, this is the first time since 1989 that 4 white men will have these top cabinet positions: Secretary of State, Treasury, Defense, Attorney General. I mean, assuming that everybody is confirmed. I mean, did this election teach us diversity, shmversity? I mean, you know, just to put a finer point on it. I mean, that's not you. Look, as we've always talked about, you have your finger on the pulse of his supporters. Diversity was not one of their top.
No, I mean, the people wanted change. You know, that is the bottom line. More than anything else, they wanted something different. In their eyes, they did not like the direction that the country was going under Obama. And so they wanted people that examples and leaders in mixing things up and changing things up, and that's what you get with, whether you like it or not, elections have consequences. That's what you get with a Trump cabinet.
Well, the populism here is not identified, Ron, as you said, by economics. It's more cultural. Right?
Right.
And you saw a swing one way with Obama, and now you're seeing it back. Political correctness, diversity, these were virtues that he ran on and tried to emphasize and amplify. Now they're being muted.
there's a note of restoration inexorably about all of the Trump political movement, both culturally and economically and politically. I mean, if you kind of think of it culturally, obviously you are reverting toward a kind of a coalition that is more centered on white voters, and that is reflected in the cabinet. Economically, the meeting today with tech leaders, I think, is very revealing. Donald Trump's vision of when the American economy was great is kind of mid-century America, when it was dominated by manufacturing and fossil fuels, less dependent on immigrants and imports than it is today, and in all of those ways in direct conflict with the vision of the tech community about what the 21st century is going to look like. And so, I mean, I think there is this sense within the Trump coalition of anxiety both about cultural and economic change. And in many ways, Donald Trump has been raised to reverse, I think, in some cases, unrealistically, generations of change on both fronts that voters in his coalition feel have marginalized them.
Jackie, as you know, Donald Trump rejects any notion that Russia meddled in this election. He doesn't like the suggestion that it changed the outcome for a win for him. And there is no, I mean, I haven't seen any convincing evidence that it changed the outcome, but there's a lot of evidence that they meddled, according to all of the intelligence agencies. But Gary Tuchman, one of our correspondents, talked online to some of Trump's supporters. They, like he, are now rejecting any conclusion from the CIA, FBI, or the intelligence agencies. So watch this moment.
CIA says it believes that Russians did this hacking in order to help Donald Trump.
That's nonsense.
You don't believe the CIA?
I don't believe. No, the CIA has been politicized. Obama has politicized just about every agency, Department of Justice, FBI, now CIA.
So you think they're out there to help Democrats, people who work for the CIA?
Absolutely.
We don't have one speak for all, but this is somewhat of a popular sentiment. However, once again, we keep seeing this. You got to be very careful about what the question is. The CIA says that the Russians hacked. You need to stop right there.
That's a good point.
That is the fundamental proposition, one that Donald Trump rejects because of this second condition that's put on it, which is the motive. And there's certainly no consensus there yet. You have the FBI on one side, the CIA on the others. But
I don't know that person would have changed their feeling, because they think it has been politicized.
Yeah, they're not trying to, no one's trying to change the mind of Donald Trump supporters here, because they're seeing it through the prism of how he is describing it. That said, that's why you see so many these members of Congress who are coming together. They're stressing that this is a bipartisan effort, because the minute this becomes nakedly partisan, the minute that the American public is going to tune it out, and they're going to think that this is politically motivated by the Democrats, exactly what Donald Trump is saying. But what you've heard from some of these senators, that this isn't even about this election. This is about democracy. It's about elections going forward, that the Russians aren't able to do this again.
you can't, the politics part of it is going to be shed in light of the principle that Russia was behind this, and it's a problem for cybersecurity going forward.
Right.
And the president-elect, then as president, when this comes in these hearings, he's going to have to double back. It's going to be a problem.
Panel, thank you.